Most people wait for motivation to strike before they begin anything meaningful. They think they need to feel ready before they act, but the truth is motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the wind. It's unpredictable, unreliable, and often absent when you need it most. That's where discipline steps in. Discipline is steady. It's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about the commitment you made long before the moment arrived. When you rely on motivation, you'll show up only when it's convenient, when the weather's perfect, when you're in the mood. But when you rely on discipline, you show up regardless. Rain or shine, tired or energized, in doubt or in belief, you still do the work. Because discipline isn't emotional. It's rooted in purpose, in choice, in the daily decision to move forward, even when no one's watching, even when the results aren't immediate. Discipline trains your mind to respect the grind. It teaches you that success isn't about grand gestures or bursts of energy. It's about consistency. It's about waking up early when the bed feels too warm, pushing through the workout when your body says no, and staying focused on the vision when distractions try to pull you off course. That's how real progress is made. The greatest achievers in history didn't rely on inspiration every morning. They built habits. They set standards. They made discipline a way of life. Because when motivation runs dry, and it will, discipline is what keeps you moving forward, one step at a time. Everyone talks about dreaming big. And that's powerful, necessary even. You need a vision so bold it scares you a little. But dreaming big alone won't get you there. What most people forget is that every big dream is built on small, consistent beginnings. The skyscraper started with a single brick. The novel began with a single sentence. The journey of 1,000 miles, yes, it started with that one step. The problem is, we often get overwhelmed by the size of our goals. We look so far ahead that we paralyze ourselves. We think we need to have everything figured out before we begin. But the truth is, you don't climb a mountain by staring at the peak. You climb it by focusing on each foothold, one at a time. Starting small doesn't mean thinking small. It means respecting the process. It means understanding that greatness is made up of quiet, humble efforts, stacked day after day. When you start small, you build momentum. You gain confidence. You begin to prove to yourself that the dream is possible, not because you've already achieved it, but because you're showing up. And showing up is powerful. It turns fear into focus and doubt into discipline. Even the smallest progress matters because it compounds. What looks like nothing today becomes something tomorrow. Dreaming big fuels your passion, but starting small keeps you grounded. It gives you something to act on now, not later. And it reminds you that no dream is too big if you're willing to take that first small, brave step today. Failure is inevitable. No matter how talented, prepared, or determined you are, you will stumble. You will face moments where things don't go as planned, when your best effort doesn't bring the result you hoped for. But the way you respond to those moments defines everything. Most people let failure knock them backward. They retreat. They let fear of repeating the mistake keep them from trying again. But that's not how growth happens. You have to fall forward. That means when you fall, and you will, you learn, you move, you grow from it. You extract the lesson and take it with you into the next challenge. Falling forward means you don't waste pain. You don't see failure as the end, but as part of the process. Every great success story is layered with setbacks. The difference is, the successful ones didn't let those setbacks break them. They used them as fuel. When you fall forward, you're still in motion. You're still in the fight. You're refusing to let a temporary defeat define your worth or your future. You take ownership of what went wrong, and instead of beating yourself up, you build yourself up. It's about facing failure with courage instead of shame. It's realizing that falling isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign that you're trying, that you're daring to go beyond your limits. Progressions isn't linear. It's messy, it's filled with missteps, wrong turns, and lessons you didn't ask for. But each time you fall forward, you're closer to your goal than you were yesterday, because forward is still forward, even if you hit the ground on your way there. Fear is a natural part of life. It shows up when you're about to do something meaningful, something uncertain, something that challenges who you've been and who you're becoming. But fear should never be the driver. It can sit in the back seat, but it can't hold the wheel. What needs to lead you is faith. Not just religious faith, but belief. Belief in your ability to grow, belief in the vision you carry, even when the path is unclear. There will be moments when fear whispers every reason to stop. It will remind you of your past mistakes, your shortcomings, your insecurities. It will paint worst-case scenarios and ask, what if you fail? But that's where faith speaks louder. Faith says, what if this works? Faith reminds you that you've overcome before, that you were built for more, that what's ahead is greater than what's behind. Having faith bigger than your fear doesn't mean you don't feel afraid. It means you choose to move anyway. It means you trust in something deeper than your doubts. It means you know the difference between a risk and a calling, and you're willing to step into the unknown because you believe something good waits on the other side. Fear shrinks you. Faith expands you. One keeps you stuck, the other sets you free. And every time you choose to act in faith, even if your voice shakes, even if your steps are unsteady, you grow. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't own you. You realize that the power to keep going was inside you all along. You just needed to believe enough to begin. Hardship teaches. It challenges you, stretches you, and reveals what you're really made of. When life is tough, you're forced to adapt, to fight, to grow stronger. But ease, that quiet, comfortable, seemingly harmless space, can be even more dangerous because it doesn't push you. It doesn't demand anything from you. It lets you settle. It tricks you into thinking you've done enough when you've barely scratched the surface of your potential. When everything is easy, you stop questioning. You stop striving. Comfort becomes the goal, not progress. And the truth is, growth never happens in comfort zones. The gym doesn't make you stronger because it's easy. It makes you stronger because it hurts, because it pushes your limits. The same goes for life. If you're never uncomfortable, you're never evolving. Ease can steal your ambition in slow motion. It whispers, you're fine, when you're not. It convinces you to avoid risks, to stay safe, to wait. But the problem with waiting is that time doesn't stop. You don't get those days back. And while hardship might leave scars, ease leaves regrets. There's nothing wrong with rest. Rest is necessary, but living in ease, choosing it as a lifestyle, is a trap. The fire in you fades, the hunger dies out, and before you know it, years have passed, and the dream you once had is now a memory you talk about instead of a goal you chase. Hardship, though painful, shapes you. It builds character, resilience, grit. It forces you to find answers, to push past excuses, to rise above. So when given the choice between what's easy and what's meaningful, choose growth. Choose the path that demands something from you. Because ease may be comfortable, but comfort never made a legend. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. You can spend your entire day in motion, crossing off tasks, running around doing things, and still be standing in the exact same place in life. Movement feels good. It gives the illusion that something's happening, that you're accomplishing. But motion without direction is just noise. It's a distraction dressed up as effort. Progress, on the other hand, is intentional. It's measured. It's movement with purpose. A hamster runs furiously on a wheel, burning energy, moving constantly, but going nowhere. That's what life looks like when you're moving without clarity. You fill your schedule, you exhaust yourself, and yet nothing meaningful changes. No goal gets closer. No dream feels more real. Progress doesn't come from how much you do. It comes from what you're doing and why you're doing it. It takes real honesty to pause and ask yourself, am I moving forward or just moving around? Am I building something or just staying busy to avoid discomfort, fear, or focus? Progress often means doing less, but doing it with more intention. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. One focused step in the right direction beats 1,000 steps in circles. When you understand the difference, you stop chasing validation in activity, you start asking tougher questions. What's the outcome I'm after? What's the strategy behind my effort? How does this align with my purpose? That's when your movement begins to count. That's when you stop wasting energy and start building momentum. Life can pull you in 100 directions. There's pressure to chase money, status, approval, attention. But when you build your life around things that shift, you'll always feel off balance. That's why you need something deeper, something unshakable. Whether that's your faith in God or a clear sense of purpose that keeps you grounded. When you put that first, everything else starts to align. Purpose gives your life direction. It reminds you why you're doing what you're doing, even when things get hard. It helps you say no to distractions and yes to discipline. When you're anchored in something bigger than yourself, your decisions become clearer. You stop chasing what's popular and start pursuing what's meaningful. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else because your path has a reason behind it. That reason becomes your compass. Putting God or purpose first doesn't mean you'll never struggle. It means you'll have a foundation when the storms come. It gives you clarity when life feels chaotic. It reminds you that your value doesn't come from achievements or opinions. It comes from knowing you were created or called for something greater. That kind of confidence can't be bought. It comes from alignment. When your purpose is at the center, success becomes more than numbers or applause. It becomes impact. It becomes peace. It becomes knowing that every step you take matters because it's tied to something eternal, or at least something deeply true to who you are. And that's what keeps you going. Not the promise of easy rewards, but the power of knowing you're living for something that actually matters. Every day is a page in the story you're writing. Too often we wait for the perfect moment, the right conditions, the big opportunity. But life isn't made in giant leaps. It's built in the quiet choices, the unseen hours, the moments most people overlook. What you do daily is shaping who you become and what you leave behind. That's why making every day count isn't just a motivational phrase, it's a way of life. You don't need to be famous to leave a legacy. Legacy isn't about how many people know your name, it's about how many lives you touch. It's about the way you show up when no one's watching. It's in how you treat people, how hard you work, how honest you are, and how deeply you care. Every act of kindness, every disciplined step, every moment of courage, it adds up. Time is the one thing you never get back, and the truth is none of us knows how much of it we have left. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to wake you up. To remind you that each day is a chance to build something that lasts, to speak life into others, to grow into the best version of yourself, not someday, but now. Making every day count means living with urgency, not anxiety. It means being intentional with your time and your energy. It means not letting the small distractions steal your focus from the bigger picture, because your legacy is being written today in your actions, your choices, your words. And when you live like that with purpose and presence, you don't just exist, you matter. So when you wake up each day, remind yourself, this life is not a rehearsal. You don't get to rewind time or redo today. What you think, what you say, what you believe, and what you do, it all adds up. Speak life into your goals. Step with discipline, not just desire. Let faith rise above fear. Don't be afraid to fail, but if you fall, fall forward. Keep your vision big, but your steps grounded. Know the difference between being busy and being purposeful. Stay rooted in something greater than yourself. And above all, make every day count. Not just for you, but for the legacy you'll leave behind. Because at the end of the day, it won't matter how fast you moved. It'll matter how far you grew. It won't matter how loud you were. It'll matter how deeply you lived. And if you can tell yourself the right things every day, you'll become the kind of person who not only dreams, but delivers.